Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And it's time for Greg Byrne Live as we have our monthly conversation with Director of Athletics for the University of Alabama, Greg Byrne. And Greg, Roll Tide, it's great to see you as we're in November. This is a really fun time of the year for Alabama sports.
Yeah, roll tide, Roger, and roll tide to everybody out there. It is. People ask me sometimes, boy, fall must be your busiest time of year. It really isn't that bad from an event standpoint because you only have a few sports in their regular season. You got some of your spring sports going for kind of a fall preview, so to speak, but it's not as an event intensive as when you get fall and winter overlapping and winter and spring overlapping. And obviously, a lot of the spring sports, a lot of events like softball, a lot of games, baseball, a lot of games, tennis, a lot of matches. So yeah, but it's with our fall sports still going, soccer, which we'll probably talk about, just got in the NCAA tournament. So they're still going, and then obviously our winter sports are starting to kick into gear. So it's a fun time, that's for sure.
And a lot of buzz last night at Coleman Coliseum as Alabama women's basketball, men's basketball got to begin the season. Just what was your experience yesterday getting to watch those teams against other competition for the first time?
Yeah, that was fun to see. The women came out and played very well. I had been able to stick my nose in practice a couple times for just a few minutes at a time for them. Same with the men, and so I was really excited to see us perform the way we did. I think we have more depth with our women's team than maybe we've had in the past, which is encouraging. And Christie's continued to just build things the right way, and I think we have a chance to hopefully. Have a really solid year and make progress again with our program like we have. And then last night with the men's game, heck of a performance by the team. It was, the thing I remember when we hired Nate and I was back at his house in Buffalo and he was explaining to me his basketball philosophy. And he had the hard hat mentality, blue collar, but also a very modern way to play the game. And I think we really saw that in a really special way last evening with, our guys do the little things. They're going to dive for loose balls. They're going to play good defense. Hustle is not going to be an issue. But so they do all those things, but they do it with a completely unselfish attitude. The way we distribute the ball and share it and find the open shot, that type of approach is contagious and it's exciting. And it's whether you're out there on the floor playing, the guys have bought in, but for the fan base to see that and the energy that was there last night was really impressive for a Tuesday night in November at an 8 o'clock tip.
You mentioned that energy, and there's been energy building towards this program, obviously, with the great success of last season. But you look at the season ticket sales, you look at what the student section was able to do, filling it completely at Coleman Coliseum last night. We've talked a lot before about the future of Alabama basketball in terms of a venue, whether it's a reimagined Coleman or a brand new arena, possibly. How does that enthusiasm help change those conversations moving forward about what Alabama basketball could be?
Yeah, Roger. I mean, one of the sayings I always like to say is, I'm smarter and better looking when we win as the AD, and I need all the help I can get with both those things. So obviously, we've been winning. The women's team has been winning. Gymnastics obviously won the SEC last year. They're part of what Coleman represents too. And now, obviously, with men's basketball having a very, very special year last year, Nate and his staff have done a wonderful job of embracing our community, our university, and then having success on top of that. That gives you momentum, and that momentum is a wonderful card to be able to play. And so, as you can imagine, we've been we had our Crimson Standard 10-year plan. When we first started that, I said publicly that this is a starting point. Things will evolve and change. We put out there initially the renovation of Coleman, not saying that couldn't still happen. But at the same time, too, as we went through COVID, I had to hit the pause button on some things for a while, understandably, just because we were in waters we didn't know where we were going to end up. And starting to come out of that, we've been looking at other options and just trying to understand what is that best path, what gives us the best path for our basketball programs, our gymnastics programs, the experience for our student athletes, and the experience for our fans. And so we have been doing that. We're going to continue to do that. I've said we are having some fundraising conversations. Those are ongoing right now, and we've been trying to, as you can imagine, trying to cultivate and identify the people. Um, Sorry, Dr. Bell just tried calling through. I hate to decline his call, but I'll call him back as soon as we're done.
We appreciate
Um,
it.
yeah, exactly. And so, anyways, uh, we're gonna see if we're fortunate enough to have some success in the fundraising side to to look and do what's best for our program, whatever that may be.
And we speak of the energy. One of the people that brought the energy the last few years was our late friend Fluff, Cameron Luke Ratliff, who we've talked a lot before. It was so sad when he passed away earlier in the spring. And last night we got to honor him at Coleman Coliseum. His family was there, and also a permanent memorial to Luke is now going to be in place at Coleman. What can you tell us about everything, the planning of that presentation? I know it was a very meaningful night for all of us that knew Fluff, and of course all of Alabama fans.
Well, the Ratliff family has been, for such a tragedy, for such a challenging time, they have been first class. And we've tried to let them know how much Fluff meant to all of us as a department and student athletes and as a community. And he did so much and made such a positive impact on so many people in such a short life, and brought energy and enthusiasm for our program that we needed to make sure we recognize that long term. We spent a lot of time talking about what that could look like, and coming up with the permanent seat at Coleman, and then to have the president of the Crimson Chaos here going forward will be wearing a sport coat, a plaid sport coat, as the identifier there. And it was something that Fluff was all first team Alabama men's basketball, but not only that, he was at women's basketball. I'd see him at gymnastics. I saw him at softball, but he was supported our teams, and he was a great representative of what we wanted to be about and ask our students to support us in. And so it was a really nice recognition for the family. Brian Hodgson did a great job of helping orchestrate it with the family. And we all have our Fluff stories, and I think the first time I ever met Fluff was the night, I'll talk about it now publicly, the night he wore the FBI coat on the sideline, or when one of our marketing interns, I think it was his freshman year, selected him as the student that was going to go out on the floor and shoot free throws of whatever the sponsorship contest was. And I was sitting there and on my phone talking to whoever I was talking to, and I see this good-sized kid come out on the court with an FBI coat on, and whoever I'm talking said, "I got to go," and hung up on them and ran down and said. And that by this point, the contest was over, and it takes a lot to get me, fired up. And even then, I'm sure I didn't raise my voice or anything, but I just said, "What are you doing?" And so, we kind of all laugh about it now. But that was Fluff's personality, and he wanted to, get people engaged and involved and have a lot of fun, and we are forever better because of Cameron Ratliff, and we're a better program, and we're going to make sure we remember that for many, many years to come.
Very well said. And of course, he loved football as well. I know he would have loved the game day environment we've seen the last couple of home games against Tennessee and against LSU. We spent a large portion of our last interview back in October talking about the game day experience at Bryant-Denny Stadium and things you were working on with your staff to help improve for our fans. Just what can you tell us about the progress that's been made with the Tennessee and the LSU games, and what you hope for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, we've been, first of all, very thankful for our fans for the patience that they've shown. We as almost every major college program and professional program have done the adoption of electronic tickets. A lot of our folks have said, "Great, there's a lot of benefits to it." Some folks don't like it. We certainly feel for them and appreciate that. But it's also kind of where the market has gone. So those first couple of games was the early adoption, right? And that's the hardest time. I can tell you after the Mercer game, a lot of our staff who don't have game day responsibilities, and even some that do, we've asked them to help us out, and they've been out there helping direct traffic, helping with scanning issues, scanning tickets themselves, and so we called them the Ticket Allies. And I just can't thank our staff enough for that, how much we appreciate it. And that, and I think what our fans see our staff members. Just this past Saturday, Patrick Murphy was out there, and Dana Duckworth was out there, and I know Christy Curry has been out there, and a lot of Nate's staff has been out there too. That shows to our fans, man, we are really trying. I promise you, we want you to have a great experience and good customer service. So I think we've made some progress, and I can tell you the number of issues of people not exactly sure how to download the tickets and how to transfer. Those numbers are declining rapidly. So that means people are adopting and they're understanding it, which is not perfect, but we're making some progress there. I can tell you, I'm not the most technologically gifted guy in the world. I have an iPhone, so I know how to use anytime anybody's having an issue and they put their phone in front of me when I'm out there at the gates. Like, okay, good. I can help them through an iPhone. As soon as they put a Google, Android in front of me, I'm like, oh gosh, let me see what I can do. And I figured some of them out, but it's been a bit challenging. Concessions, we've made some progress. We've had a lot of reports of much better experience for our fans. We still are having some issues. I don't want to excuses because but there's some realities that we've dealt with. We had staffing issues. We made some progress there, which is great. And that I'm really thankful for the people who are coming and working and helping us out. We have some logistics issues from kitchen standpoint, which we've had some improvements. We don't have kitchens in all four corners of the stadium. It's only in a certain couple parts, and then getting stuff moved from one corner sometimes way to the other is a challenge because the storage is. I'm getting way in the weeds here, but the storage is an issue, and so you can only store so much before you have to restock and try to move stuff. On a 6:00 game against LSU, it creates challenges. Last part is our infrastructure from a concessions and restroom standpoint in Bryant-Denny. Some of which is good. Some of it, there's some parts of our stadium that are more modern. There's other parts that were built, back in the dark ages, and trying to run modern concessions out of there is a challenge. I understand why people say it. And when I say the story, it's not a complaint. But every time we play in Atlanta, I'll have people at Atlanta or come back here and say, why can't we do concessions just like they do in Atlanta? And it's like, they got a $1.5 billion brand new stadium, and that's really nice. And they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way. And people are great about it. They really are. So anyways, it's, we need to do what I tell our concession folks, what we tell, what our expectation is we'll always have some limitations. Doesn't matter where you are, there's going to be challenges. Let's maximize our ability to serve our customers at the highest level that we can with the infrastructure and resources that we have. And part of what I've actually challenged them on some is, listen, if we can't offer 10 different menu items at a concession stand, then don't do it. If we can do 4 things really well, then let's do those 4 things really well. And I know sometimes people, they have a certain thing that they like to have and they don't like it when that's not there. And I respect the heck out of that. That makes a lot of sense. But let's also make sure whatever we do, let's do as well as we can. We've made some progress, not where we want it to be, but we really appreciate people's patience as we're trying to continue to improve what we do.
Looking forward to being back at Bryant-Denny this Saturday for New Mexico State, the next Saturday as well for Senior Day against Arkansas. That means we're getting closer to the end of the football season, and we're starting to see some postseason play for some other sports on campus. Let's talk first about cross country and just the remarkable consistency we're seeing out of that program right now. It's been great to see ULID and Mercy get all the honors they have and continue racing well in the SEC.
Yeah, very proud of ULID and Mercy for winning the individual titles for the SEC championship for cross country. Hopefully they got a chance at the national level too. Dan and his staff have done a really good job of having consistency both in our cross country, our indoor track, our outdoor track. I mean, we're a program that can go compete for SEC championships, and that's really special. And if you compete for a championship, you're going to compete on the national level too. So we're really pleased with the progress there that they've made. And Roger, you've heard me say it before, and one of our goals as a department is to finish in the top 10 of the Directors Cup every year, to where we're consistent across the board in our sports. And I just obviously had great news about our soccer program making the NCAAs. We're heading over to Clemson for a game on Friday. But that's wonderful to see, and we're really proud of the efforts that they're making.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, was about soccer and just seeing the ups and downs the season brought. But home matches, there was a lot of good energy at a soccer stadium, and Coach Hart's team really played well as a result, it seemed.
Yeah, Wes is a wonderful person, and has his kids really like playing for him, and has continued to develop our program. We went through a bit of a dry spell for a bit, but got us back in the NCAAs this year. I think just had a really good day in recruiting today. And soccer's a tough sport, in this geographic footprint. To be an SEC athlete of any sport, you have to be really, really high level. And there aren't maybe quite as many soccer players within our footprint to play at the SEC level as what we'd like. We hope the youth programs continue to develop, and the high school programs, to where that more kids out of Alabama and Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia have that opportunity, so we can recruit them and have them come here. And we do have some, so that's always a positive. But I think sometimes with a sport like soccer, you got to look a little bit more of a national footprint. One of our strengths, though, is who we are as a university. We're known from one end of the country to the other, and so when we do call, I think there's kids that are going to be interested in us. We have a lot of young men and young women in our programs that are from the West Coast footprint, and it's because of the visibility of our university, of our football program, and as our athletic department. So it's important that we capitalize on that where we can.
Of course, the goal for Alabama teams to be a champion. We'll finish up on this. Obviously, we know the football team gets the recognition with the Walk of Champions, and the Sarah Patterson Champions Plaza just outside of Coleman Coliseum, Sewell Thomas Stadium. You got to have a great ceremony there, recognizing some SEC champions. Just what did that ceremony mean to you this past Friday outside Coleman Coliseum at the Sarah Patterson Champions Plaza?
Well, Sarah Patterson, the job that she did as our gymnastics coach, and at one point senior women's administrator, and she's my neighbor. We live real close to each other. I just love the Pattersons. Her and David are such good people. And they still, I was at volleyball on Monday, and Sarah was there. So was Murph. I sat and talked to them for quite a while. And, she just was such an incredible leader for our department, but continues to support in the way that she does, in such a positive way. And to have that plaza named after her, that when we have championships here at Alabama, we're going to recognize them in her plaza. And so to have, obviously our gymnastics team, our men's basketball team, and our softball team all celebrate their championships this past year was really special, and something we want to continue to do. Normally we've done it in September, and it feels like 193 degrees out there when we do it. It be in November. I commented, I think we may need to think about moving it to this time of year in the future, so we can enjoy this time a little bit more instead of just trying to get out of the heat.
It's really good planning. Well, Greg, we just appreciate your time. We know you got to call Dr. Bell back coming up, but just thank you again for the last 20 minutes talking about Alabama athletics. We really do appreciate your time, and Roll Tide. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of our fans. Y'all are the best. Roll Tide.
All right. Our thanks to Greg Byrne. Thanks to all of you for watching the Crimson Tide Sports Network.